Hi, my name is Kieran Bhagirathi, and for this midterm, I chose the Python package TextBlob. TextBlob is a natural language processing library that makes it simple to perform powerful text analysis tasks. It is built on top of NLTK and Pattern and supports things like part of speech tagging, noun phrase extraction, spelling correction, translations, and more, all with very readable syntax. In this video, I'll walk through three specific methods that TextBlob makes possible, and I'll show what each one does by running the code and then walking through it line by line. So this program is going to show you three different NLP methods using the TextBlob package. The first being part of speech tagging, second is word inflection, and the third is noun phrase extraction and word frequency analysis. So to install TextBlob and its corpora, I used these two commands. The first one installs the package, and the second downloads the necessary language data so TextBlob can perform POS tagging and more. And then with this line of code, we can see we're importing the core classes from the TextBlob library. So before we get into the first method, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the code in my terminal, which I'm using this command right here. I'm going to run it. That's going to give us our output. And then we're going to come back to this after we've gone through our first method. So for the first method, it is part of speech tagging. Its purpose is to identify and explain the grammatical role of each word. And this is going to help us in building grammar word tools like autocorrection, sentence parsing, and AI writing assistance. So this section of code takes a sentence and uses textblob.tags tag each word with its grammatical role, like noun, verb, adjective, and so on. So the sentence I'm going to use is this sentence right here. The enthusiastic student quickly solved the difficult problem with care. So what we're going to do in this line of code right here is we're going to store the sentence in a variable and pass it into the text blob to create a blob object. Then we're going to use this for loop, which is this for loop right here, and we're going to loop through every word in the sentence along with this tag. The tag is a shorthand label like NN for noun and VB for verb. We can also see JJ for adjective and RB for adverb, DTs for determiner, and IN is for preposition. We're going to use a series of if statements, which are all these if statements right here, and they're going to interpret these tags. So if the tag starts with NN, as we can see in the first one, it's going to print out noun, it's going to print out has been tagged as a noun, and then it's going to print out the definition of a noun. The same thing with the VB if it's a verb, same thing with JJ for adjective, RB is adverb, and so on and so forth. So if we look at our output, we can expand this terminal. Up, we can see the output right here. We can see the word the has been tagged as DT, which is determiner. We can see it's printed out. The has been tagged as a determiner. This means it introduces or specifies a noun like the or a. We can also see enthusiastic has been tagged as JJ, which is an adjective. We can see it's been tagged as an adjective, and we can see its definition. Similarly, with student, it's NN, which is a noun. We can see the definition of a noun here. RB is an adverb. VBD is solved, which is a verb. The is another determiner. Difficult is another adjective. Problem has been tagged as a noun, and with has been tagged as in, which is a preposition or in. Care is another NN, which is a noun. So without TextBlob, we would have to build or import our own parser in raw Python. Here, it's done automatically. So just another example of what we cannot do in raw Python and why we need packages like this. So this brings us to our second example, which is word inflection. Purpose of this is to convert between plural and singular forms using TextBlob's word object. This will be useful with text normalization, grammar checking, and content rewriting tools. So what we have here is a list of words in their both plural and irregular, or in both plural and singular nouns. So we have cats, dogs, leaf, and cities. We have a mix of singular and plural words. What we're going to do is we're going to loop over each word and apply the inflection logic, which is what this for loop is going to do. Inside this for loop, with this line of code right here, we're going to create a word object from TextBlob. Then we're going to try to singularize it, which is what this line of code is doing right here. If it stays the same, this means the word was already singular, so we're going to try to pluralize it instead, which is what this line of code is doing right here. We're going to use an if statement to check that if singular is equal to word, which is this code right here. What this condition is going to do is it's going to help decide which direction to transform the word. So again, like I said, if the word is already singular, we're going to try to make it plural, which is what these two lines of code are going to do. Then we're going to print out both plural and singular versions, which is what this line of code is going to do. What this line of code is going to do afterwards is, if anything changed, we're also going to print a check mark to show that the word was successfully inflected. This has use when we're building apps that autocorrect grammar or normalize user input. So from our output, you can see here in example 2, we have all of our words here. The original cats has been changed. We can see the singular being cat. The word was inflected. We can see with dogs, we can see the singular dog. The word was inflected. With the leaf, we can see the plural leaves. And with cities, we can see the singular city. So that's for method 2. Now moving on finally to our last method, method 3, we have word frequency analysis. The purpose of this is to identify and count noun phrases, which are groups of words that act as nouns. We can see its value in summarization, topic modeling, and content tagging. So with this method, we're going to demonstrate how to extract noun phrases and count how often they appear in a paragraph. So we're going to use this paragraph right here. Python is great. Python makes data science fun. Data is powerful. Python, data, and science are the future. Python is everywhere. So with this line of code here, what we're going to do is we're going to take this paragraph and pass it into a TextBlob and then loop through it with this for loop right here. What we're going to do is we're going to use the set function, which we can see right here. And we use set here, so we only list each phrase once. Inside the loop, we count how many times that phrase appears using this line of code right here. Then after that, we print the phrase and the count. If the phrase appears more than once, we're going to highlight it with an alert symbol, which is what these 2 lines of code are doing right here. But the important thing to know here is that noun phrases aren't just words. They're full expressions like data science, as we can see in this paragraph here. So if we run the code and we look at our output, we will see our output here. Let me just get down here. I believe it's here. Here we go. So we'll see noun phrase frequencies. We'll see data science is fun, appears once, Python appears 4 times, and data appears once. Now, if you read the paragraph, you'll see data appears more times than that. However, even though the word data appears multiple times, it's only counted as a separate noun phrase once. In the sentence, data is powerful, which is right here. In the other places, like data science fun, it's part of a longer phrase, so it's not counted on its own. This shows that TextBlob isn't just counting word frequency; it's using grammar rules to extract whole concepts, which is something you can't do without a full NLP library in Python, in raw Python. So, in conclusion, to summarize, in example 1, we used a for loop and if statements to interpret the grammatical role of each word. Let me just close my terminal. Sorry. With example 2, we use conditionals to check and convert between plural and singular forms. In example 3, we looped through noun phrases and count out how often each one appeared, showing that TextBlob groups multi-word ideas rather than individual terms. All 3 examples demonstrate how TextBlob adds powerful natural language tools that would be difficult to implement with just core Python. Thank you for watching.